So this tutorial is going to focus on three sort of chord progression tricks by the Beatles, essentially. So the first one is using the cycle of fifths. The second one is using common chord progressions and then throwing a surprise, essentially. So I suggest either using the cycle of fifths or a blues, but then throw in something which is a bit of a surprise. And then the last one is using borrowed chords. So these are also known as modal interchange, where you borrow chords from a parallel key. So the first one, using the cycle of fifths, is really important that you get to know the cycle of fifths. Really, it tells you so much. So the first thing we need to do is pick a key. So let's pick C major because that's nice and easy. It's right at the top of the circle up there, and we're not looking at the inner circle with the minors at this stage, just the outer circle, essentially, right? So if I pick a key like C, I need to work out the chords. So you should remember that chord 1, chord 4, and chord 5 in a major key are major chords, and 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords. This seventh one is like minor flat 5, so that's like a diminished sound, but not a full diminished chord yet. So the cycle of fifths can also tell us this stuff. So if we look at the top of C here, which is the key we're working in, you need to count the 1 to the left, right, over here, and then kind of make sure you've got 7 notes all the way around to the right. So if I've got C, and I need to include the 1 to the left, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And funny enough, all of those notes, F all the way around to B, are the notes of C major. And if we just read them in order, we go C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And the chords also can be worked out really quickly from here. So if we're looking at C up here, then the one on the left and the one on the right are all major chords, yeah? So C's a major chord, F's a major chord, G's a major chord. And then D, A, and E are all minor chords as we go around. And the last one over here, B, is the kind of half diminished chord, the minor flat 5. So if we take another key like E flat, right? So the one to the left is major, the one to the right is major, and E flat's major. So they're the major chords. And then we just go around another 3. These are minor, so F minor, C minor, G minor. And D is the minor flat 5 chord, the sort of half diminished one. So in the key of E flat, we can say that's a major chord, E flat's major, F minor, G minor, A flat major, B flat major, C minor, D minor, 7 flat 5. As another example, we go to the key of D, right? It's going to have a G major chord and an A major chord on either side of it, and D's major. Then it would have E minor, B minor, F sharp minor, and C sharp minor, 7 flat 5. Essentially that diminished one. Right, so this can help us work out our keys and chords within keys really, really quickly, if you've kind of got this in your mind. If not, I've written it out down here, essentially. So, and when we play around the cycle of fifths, we go anti-clockwise, because as you go anti-clockwise, you fall a perfect fifth down. So a perfect fifth below A is D, below D is G, and a perfect fifth below G is C. Essentially, this is like going 5-1, which is a really powerful chord move to do, is these kind of moves. So we go around anti-clockwise, and when we're working within a key, so the key of C major, when we get to F, there's no B flat in this key, right? The next B is actually on the other side here, over at B. So we go round, hit F, and back down to B. Yeah, so we kind of go round like that, round it. So we're always going anti-clockwise. So if we put these in order, we would go F, C, F major, then B minor 7 flat 5, E minor, A minor, D minor, G. And we're back to C, and I've written it out here for you. So it would sound a bit like this. So we've got A, yeah, and then we've got F, yeah, and then we've got the B minor, sort of flat 5 thing, and then we've got E minor, and then A minor, yeah, and then D minor, and then G, and then to C. So that's what they sound like. And if I play it in another key, if I play it in like A minor as a key, you might recognise kind of the So I mean, that's like I'll Survive and loads of other tunes, but it's really, really common going around the cycle of fifths, essentially, right? So, what the Beatles would often do is just do like a few chords of this. So they wouldn't go around the whole 7 chords. They would just do a few, like E minor, A minor, D minor, G, right? So you might go E minor, let's start like up here, E minor, A minor, D minor, and then G, and then start again. So we start with E minor, and then we go to A minor, D minor, and then G. So they just go around like maybe 4 chords in a row, essentially. So you could do like A minor, D minor, G, or you could do D minor, G, C, which is known as a 2-5-1, which is really common in jazz. So the D is because it's the 2nd chord in the key, the 5 is the 5th chord in the G, G is the 5th chord, and C is the 1st chord. So 2-5-1 is basically what a lot of jazz is based on. So you get that kind of, get those kind of chords. Yeah, so 2. And then 5. And 1. So, so that's the first thing, right? Is pick a key, work out the chords, play around it in the cycle of fifths, kind of anti-clockwise. Then what the Beatles would do often is actually think, well, let's throw a surprise in. So they might go like E minor, A minor, D minor, G, but then they go F. So if we look back, we got E, A, D, G, and we're expecting a C. But what they might give us is a different chord, like F, essentially, yeah? So like, you kind of tumbling around the cycle. Yeah, so it's kind of like a surprise. So I'm going like, let's just get my pedal. So E minor, A minor, D minor, G, yeah, so I went down to the F and back up to the G, and it's like not a massive surprise, but it is a little bit like, oh, I didn't. Your subconscious was probably expecting the C. It was probably expecting this. G and to C. You're probably expecting that more than the F. But you can do like more extreme versions of this. So you could go like E minor, A minor, D minor, G, and then sort of yeah, D flat 7, move back to C. So, you know, you can throw a bigger surprise in there. The Beatles didn't do surprises quite like that. It's a bit more jazz, but it's the same idea, right? I've kind of follow a scheme like the cycle of fifths. You know, so surprise people. You could do the same with the blues, you know, like, so the end of one of their songs. So I put loads of examples on the class notebook in the songwriting section, but like one of their songs, instead of finishing a blues going G, F, C, C, they go G, F, F7, which is kind of a surprise, and then you get the C. So they kind of delay when the C comes and chuck this in to sort of surprise you. So borrowed chords is the last thing, right? So this is one of the coolest kind of things, I think, and was getting really prevalent in the 60s. A lot of bands do this sort of thing, and it's also got a fancy name of modal interchange. But basically what you're doing is nicking chords, or borrowing, should we say, from a parallel minor key. So if in the key of C major, we might borrow some chords from the key of C minor. So for instance, you know, here's the chord from C. Get rid of that for now, and that. And here's, so in the parallel minor key of C, right, chord 1 is C minor, this one's D minor 7 flat 5, but these two aren't really nicked that much essentially. And chord 5 could be a major chord or could be a minor chord essentially, but we tend to hear it more as a major. You tend to get it less as a minor chord unless the actual piece is in the natural minor. And sort of modal. So what we can do is kind of take some from the major key. We want to start or finish around chord 1 on C to make it feel like home. We're going to take some from this minor key. So you can see how E minor becomes E flat, major, F becomes F minor, A flat minor becomes A flat major, and this kind of half diminished B minor flat 5 chord becomes B flat major, and this can be a dominant chord, so you might see it like that essentially as well, just like chord 5 could be a dominant chord there. So a really common example is C, E flat. So C comes from the kind of the blue, the major key, E flat comes from the parallel minor, F comes from the major, and A flat comes from the parallel minor. So it sounds like this. And is known as Gimme Some Lovin', Love Shack. You know, there's probably thousands of other songs that use it. So you can start taking and mixing up some chord progressions. So if we just start with C, for instance, a really other nice one is then to go C over E, and then go to F major, and then we'll slip to F minor. Yeah, that's quite a nice thing to do. C over E flat, F minor, that's really, really nice. Other ones I like to go chord 1, so C, and then play around with like flat 7 and flat 6, so I'm going to play like C, B flat, A flat, and B flat, right? So you get this kind of thing. So it's really well known in a different key is a crazy little thing called Love. You know, it goes on 1, flat 6, flat 7, and then to 1. Yeah, so really, really well known. And you can try just picking them at random. So I'm going to go like C, and then let's go E flat. Yeah, and then let's go to A minor. And then maybe to B flat. Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to pick stuff that is not going to sound that good, and we could make it sound quite nice. We went to F minor, I think. A minor. E flat, maybe down to A flat major, maybe to, I don't know. So you can basically just pick any of these chords and try and come up with something that you think sounds good. There are things that work better, so F, E flats, C, E flat, F works great. Like I showed you, C to F, and then go to F minor is really nice. And playing around with like A flat, B flat to C sounds brilliant, essentially. So what I want you guys to do really is try coming up with a chord progression that uses this idea. So basically going anti-clockwise around the cycle of fifths within a key. So you might choose to go like E minor, A minor, D minor, G, or just 3 chords and play one twice to get it to 4 bars. And then try and think about how you can maybe vary that idea with a surprise chord, so a chord that doesn't follow this pattern. So if you go like A, D, G, don't go to C, go to something else. So if you go like A minor, D minor, G, you're going to be really expecting a C. So if we went to an E minor, it'd be quite a surprise. So we could go like A minor, E minor, G, and then if we went to E minor, it wasn't that as expected because we were waiting for it to go from G, that kind of. We were kind of expecting that. We got something slightly different, not too different, slightly different. So try and come up with a chord progression that uses a cycle of fifths going anti-clockwise. Then see if you can think about checking a surprise in that's not expected, and then see if you can come up with a second chord progression that uses this idea, right? So uses chords from the kind of borrowed chords from its parallel minor key, and then you should have two chord progressions: one that uses cycle of fifths going anti-clockwise with a surprise chord somewhere, and another one that uses some borrowed chords. So two chord progressions, those two ideas, what you want.